are 3 really good mods for every character in the first Descendant. 2 mods are going to be for every build you can do, and 1 skill module Transcendent to make the most of your damage. I won't include increased HP or defense, as those could be great for every Descendant. All the mods will be listed down below with links so you can have more information if you want to know more about them. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like down below for more. Ajax. Frugal Mindset is actually really good on Ajax because it gives you a reduction in the overall cost of the mod, leaving more MP to use other abilities or spam the same one. It also comes with an increase in range for your 4th ability, the Bubble, and for his 1st ability, the Orbit Barrier. You want more range for these as they would cover a bigger area, giving more room to move around, as well as protecting objectives from mobs trying to destroy them from afar. Stim Accelerant is another must-have mod for Ajax, as this provides him with a bonus of 234% of extra HP to allow you to take more damage once your shield drops, but at the same time it comes with the cost of a negative 15% loss in your total MP that you can use. That really isn't that big of a deal because you simply need to add more duration, and with the right components you can recover your MP when not in the middle of combat, so that's an added bonus for using this mod. For the skill module, we want to use Body Enhancement. You could also use Matrix for really late game as it provides more survivability for your teammates, but most of the time they can be random, so team coordination can be off unless you're with friends. For Body Enhancement, you will get an increase in your defense as well as your shield in proportion to your total HP. The higher you have your health in addition with Stim Accelerant and increased HP, you will see a massive difference in your total defense. The shield isn't what we're after, but taking even 1 extra bullet allows you to stay alive just that much longer. Blair. Now for Blair, Shot Focus is recommended for Blair as it increases the firearm attack by 15%, giving you more damage overall and to weak points. Blair is more focused with dealing lots of damage with a combination of his 1st ability to place down pools of fire and his 2nd ability to absorb them and turn it into more damage overall for a short time. This does however come with a reduction of skill power by another 15%, but that's okay as you mainly want to play Blair using your weapons and not so much his ultimate because of the long charge up that it has to do anything significant. MP conversion is necessary as it gives you a modest decrease of 36% to your skill's cooldown, allowing you to use more of his abilities more often to just keep dishing out major damage, but at the cost of 15% of your total MP, which is fine. Again, use external components to recover MP if it's really a problem with normal gameplay. Now for his skill module, we definitely want to grab the Backdraft for this slot because it greatly increases your overall weak point damage and your firearm attack instead of your skill power. This is why I mentioned using Shot Focus to deal more damage with your firearms, because your skills really aren't going to play a big part in your DPS with Blair. Bunny. For Bunny, we definitely need Battle of Stamina, as Bunny is known for being squishy. I mean, she can't help it. You will gain a nice chunk of increased HP for overall survivability because you don't want to be going down a lot. You want to be able to tank some damage while dealing out a lot of it. It also comes with an increase in skill duration, so there's the bonus. More time for your abilities to be active means more damage and enemies going down to your skills. Amplification Control for an increase in your total range by 57%, allowing you to have reach to those enemies that aren't in close distance. Remember, the more range means the more mobs that take damage, and it means more kills equals easier life. This mod also comes with an increase to shield, but we don't necessarily care about shield as of this point in time of the video. As for the skill module, we definitely want to go ahead and grab High Voltage for the reason that it's going to reduce the number of enemies that Thrill Bomb and Lightning Emission can strike, but it will increase your range even further with Amplification Control, as well as increase the total damage your ability can do. This is a must-have for any bunny build you plan on making, and leave any questions in the comments about any of these modules in the video and I will be sure to reply as soon as possible. Enzo. Now for Enzo, a must-have module for him is going to be the Maximize Conservation, as this will decrease the amount of MP used for using his skills by 35%, but at the cost of your total skill power modifier by 20%, which is completely fine, trust me. Multi-Talented, because of the use of his dimension skills, they are granted a decrease in skill cooldowns by 20%. That is already a huge difference, especially for his 3rd ability to help with your shields being replenished and also give you an enhanced combat suit. You can also use your 3rd ability first, then use any other ability, and the reduction to cooldown also applies, allowing you to easily deal out some good damage with the enhanced damage you do towards your firearms from his 4th ability. For Enzo's skill module, you can choose from a couple of them, but the one you definitely want to get for him is Focus Fire. This grants an increase in weak point damage as well as firearm critical hit rate when touching the device it summons. All around the best modules you will use in almost any build you make for him. Esiemo. Now for Esiemo, we want to start off with Strong Mentality because you're going to be using using his abilities a lot, and a decrease in skill cost is a must for this Descendant. So adding strong mentality as well as maximize conservation for even more cost reduction is completely night and day for this guy. Definitely pick this one up for him. MP conversion for skill cooldown by 36%, allowing you to make real good use of his abilities, and using them more often is always a good thing for more damage. You can also add Nimble Fingers for even more cooldown. You will have no problems at all using his abilities consistently without having to worry about MP loss as much. For his skill module, we're going with Explosive Evade. For every time you dodge or roll, your Descendant will drop a bomb. It's a guided landmine for more damage when running in to spam his third ability that places mines on the ground. But this can easily be replaced with Propaganda, and it will give you an explosive that taunts enemies and does some great damage when it explodes. Freyna. Now for Freyna, we want to use Iron Defense in almost any build you make for her, as this increases your defense by 90% to take all that damage the mobs and the Colossus are dealing towards you, as well as the extra 12.7% increase to her skill power modifier for just overall damage. We also want skill extension for her fourth ability and first ability to gain more duration on how long we can use her toxic weapon, and for a Python build with her first ability to deal out massive amounts of toxic. You can also make sure to use Nimble Fingers for consistent cooldown on the builds. For the skill module, you want to grab Neurotxin Synthesis for her first ability, as this will increase the overall damage of it for facing solo against Colossus, but if you're more into mobbing, working with a team, then grabbing Contagion is also an added bonus. Gley. Now Gley can become a really strong Descendant with these mods on her. Stim Accelerant for more max HP of an increase of 234% to her health, which will allow more time staying alive against those who want to take you down. This will reduce your total MP by 15%, but this isn't anything to really worry about. Now we definitely want Nimble Fingers on her for some basic cooldown for her abilities, as I know all the Gley fans love that infinite ammo ability she has. This also pairs well with all of her other skills, as cooldown is a must for her. For her skill module, we want to use Predator Instinct. For this module, it will gradually increase your firearm attack damage while you're in the frenzied state. Combining this with her infinite ammo ability can make for some pretty insane numbers when melting a Colossus or a high-ranking enemy. Definitely recommend this module that you need to grind for her. Yujin. Now for Yujin, he is mainly a healer, but don't let this fool you. This guy can do some pretty good damage when built correctly for mobbing. Starting with skill expansion for more effective range by 92% of an increase, and a combination of damage with his skill module that I will show here in a sec. It's going to be pretty crazy. You also want to be running on every Yujin build a focus on non-attribute, for this will increase your non-attribute skill power by 77% with an addition to skill cooldown to mainly focus on your skill module. That's coming up next. For the skill module itself, we want to pick up the Proliferating Allergy, which when used inflicts an explosive reaction effect. This deals damage to nearby enemies, and when the effect ends or the enemy dies, it will inflict the same effect to nearby enemies, dealing out massive numbers. When you build Yujin right, he can really be a great clear for lots of enemies bunched up together. Viessa. Okay, so for Viessa, the Chill Specialist mod is a must-have, as it increases the base damage of her chill skill power by 81% to just overall have more damage for her abilities. So definitely put this on every build you have for her. She also has really good base crit chance and damage to start off with, so you want to help her build for it. A necessary mod to help these go along is Frontlines, as it increases critical damage by 67% and crit chance for a 28% increase, so look more into crit damage and chance mods for her, as you won't be disappointed in the results you will find. For her skill module, you want to pick up Cold-Bloodedness for the Colossus because of its increase to skill power and the decrease to skill cooldown effect that it gets with this setup. For regular mobs, you want to grab Absolute Zero, as it removes the slow effect on enemies. This will instead change all of your skills to a singular mod type, which is nice to build, but when you hit a critical number, it will inflict Frostbite on the target. Then when Frostbite triggers, so will Ice Sphere. When an Ice Sphere is created, it will fly to a nearby enemy and explode for burst damage and inflict Frostbite. Valby. For the Valby players out there, we want to go ahead and grab for every single build the Skill Insight, as this will increase her ability's critical hit chance in combination with the skill module I will show in a moment, but this will increase her chances of hitting a crit by 115%, which is a massive bonus. Dimension Specialist is the next mod we definitely want on her, as this will increase your skill's power modifier by 76%. In turn, doing more damage with her abilities is always a plus in my opinion. For all Descendants, in fact, you will want this mod for her. For the skill module, you want to always go with Supply Moisture, as this will increase your critical hit chance drastically, as well well as your skill's duration and firearm attribute trigger rate while she is standing on water. I recommend using her first ability first, then using her second and third ability next, as you can use her first to surround an area in water, then cover a good amount with her second and keep distance if you need to. But if you just want to use her second and third to stay within range on enemies, that's completely fine, because you will be doing mass amounts of damage when you build her for critical damage and chance. You kind of become a powerhouse, which is amazing. Sharen. For Sharen, you will want to put skill extension for an increase of 36.5% to her abilities, as the main one is her invisibility to handle the successful infiltrations with ease. Duration mods are a must for her, as this is the most important part when playing as her. MP Accelerant is another great mod for her, as this also allows more time in your abilities. A useful tip I can give you is casting your invisibility first, then activating her fourth if you're trying to build her for high damage, as the invisibility will grant you an undetection bonus while casting her fourth, because without it, you can be left pretty vulnerable while she's in animation for her fourth. For the skill module, we want to go ahead and pick up Void Domination, as this will increase the targeting range of Flash Short Sword and increase your enemy targeting speed to leave you less out in the open if you're not in a position to go invisible first, because they've already noticed you, which is fine. Kyle. Amplification Control is one of the best mods you can put on Kyle for the simple addition of the additional skill effect range increase of 51.7% and an increase in shields by 36.5%. Kyle is about the only Descendant at this time that utilizes shield amount. The more shield you have on Kyle, the more magnetic force damage output you will be doing. Focus on non-attribute is another must on Kyle, because increasing how much damage we can do is especially important for him if you want to hit those high numbers. Trust me, adding things like front lines, emergency measures, and spear and shield in addition to these mods will make for a nice build without anything else, but of course we can still improve upon them. For the skill module, there really isn't any that will increase Kyle's damage, but if I had to recommend you to get one of them, it would be the self-directed Eruption, as this mod consumes magnetic force every second when used to go ahead and pull enemies in front of Kyle, and deals great damage to nearby enemies when the skill ends. You could use this as a pull all the enemies together, then use his fourth ability for huge damage, but no Transcendent mod is really going to make that big of a difference, so I recommend not even paying attention to them as of this point in time. Jayber. Alright, so for this guy, we want to add Focus on Dimension for all the builds you do for him. This will increase the damage output of his first and second ability by 68%, with an addition to the -6% for the cooldown with the skills. Now go ahead and add Nimble Fingers. This will also help with cooldown, just to keep that in mind. Front Lines is a great addition to building this character, as it will increase your critical damage and chance with the help from skill insight and skill concentration. Adding these mods are a minimum for making Jayber a real high damage player to keep up with the other Descendants. For the Transcendent module, for his skills, we want to use the attacking Compulsion, as when using a skill, it will summon an assault turret. The summon turret operates in the same way as an existing assault turret, which is just a bonus turret in my opinion, but another turret means more damage, so definitely get this mod for him. Lepic. Maximized power is great for Lepic, as the increase to damage for your abilities is well noticeable by 96%, but this will increase your skill's cooldown by plus 50%, so just keep that in mind when building him for high damage. Skill extension is another must-have mod for him, as all his abilities except the grenade rely on a timing mechanic, so being able to activate his overclock or other abilities, having that extra time to deal damage is a really nice bonus. This goes well with Fire Specialists, that pretty much increases your fire skill power by 81.2%. For the skill module, we definitely want to be looking at getting the Firearm Master, as when reloading your weapon, it will increase skill range, and when changing weapons, it will also increase your skill power. This is part of the builds you see when Lepic is used to just melt boss fights. An incredible choice to use this mod over the others. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Remember to stay safe, because the world without you is nothing.